because I know the difference between a hater. A hater is with somebody that ain't even in the game. Who got something to say.
I got you.
A hater is somebody that don't do what you do every day, but wake up every day and speak about how you do what you do.
I get it.
Nah, that's a hater.
Sometimes is how bad do you want this?
Yes.
What are you willing to give up to get? Like when I hear stuff like I've been mismanaging my money and just kind of haphazardly spending money my whole life, at some point it's like, how bad do you want it?
Yeah.
You need to figure out how to get consistent leads coming in. So that way you can make offers every single day. If you're not making offers every day in your business, you don't really have a business, because offers equals opportunities and opportunities equals money or potential payday. So the more opportunities you give yourself, the more chances you are to close contracts and ultimately go to settlement and get paid through the escrow. So that's why I say a lot of entrepreneurs struggle in this business, because they're not creating enough opportunities for themselves. They're not speaking to enough people. In a week's time, they may only make 2-3 offers. But the truthful and the reality is, it takes about between 8 to 14 offers to get a contract. So if you're only making 2 offers a week or 3 offers a week, realistically, you probably maybe only getting 1 contract a month. And even when you get that contract, there's still a 30 to 45 days, sometimes 60 days turnaround to get funding.
And it's easier to generate revenue from a customer that has already spent money with you and had a satisfactory experience than it is to go out and get new customers over and over and over again. Not only is it easier to do that, it's cheaper to do that.
So many people make things too difficult and take it too seriously. Finding a good deal, the right business, the right people, the right investors, or whatever is just like dating. You must go to the market and talk to a lot of people, make a lot of offers, counter-offers, negotiate, reject, and accept. I know single people who sit at home and wait for the phone to ring, but it's better to go to the market, even if it's only the supermarket. Search, offer, reject, negotiate, and accept are all parts of the process of almost everything in life.
I'm going to do a certain activity every single day for this amount of time, and it will yield results. You can't force the results.
Right.
The only thing you can control is the work.
Me personally, I have my VAs, my virtual assistants, drive for dollars using Deal Machine, and they'll virtual drive for dollars. Me personally, I like to only look for lots that are next to houses, because if I'm making an offer and they accept it, I know 100% of the time or 90% of the time it's a deal because it's next to a house.
Sure.
I only focus on lots that are next to a house, or two parcels next to a house, and then we just make offers like that. So I don't do like probate or things like that. We just virtual drive for dollars, and we just try to get every lot that's next to a house.
I want to see where land is selling. That's the playgrounds we're choosing. One thing that's really been helping me a lot lately is kind of getting away from those playgrounds that are super competitive. Here's an example, like Lehigh Acres or Palm Bay, Florida, where you see I don't know, 150 parcels of land selling in 1 week. Yes, we can go into that area, but it's super competitive. So we're having better results now on areas where I'm having better results on areas where I'm only seeing like 6 or 7 sold in the last 90 days. Now, what that's telling me is there's not as much crazy competition out here. Land sellers are going to talk to us more, and it's a supply demand issue. So there's not you're not seeing a ton of solds, but when you look at the supply, like, okay, what's for sale right now in the 90, or what's for sale actively currently? There's some for sale, but there's not a ton. So when we go and list our land with a land specialist real estate agent, that's the key. How do you find them? You go on Redfin and you see who's listing this stuff, and you look for a pattern. Like, okay, Jim Jones, he's the guy listing all this land. So I call Jim and I say, hey man, I got a piece of land under contract on 123 Main Street. What's your 30-day blowout price? I want to get this gone. Like, if it's sitting on the market 6 months from now, like, you're fired. I'd rather have that conversation up front. So we list it for a little bit less than everyone else, and we offer seller financing. It's like a perfect storm. They're always going to pick our land first.
you should be known as an authority when people first see this page. Right after you have that, then you're gonna have a call to action. What is it that you want people to do when they come to your page? Hey, subscribe to my YouTube, hit the link down below. Hey, get my blank, whatever it is that you want to sell or whatever it is you want them to promote. I mean, not promote, but interact with.
Yeah.
And then for your link in your bio, this is where a lot of people mess up. They have like 1 million links in there. For the love of God, do not put 1 million links in the link in your bio on Instagram. Just put one. There's this one book that I was reading, I believe it's called The One Thing. And he says in the very beginning, the very first page, it says, if you want to catch a rabbit, he says, if you want to catch a rabbit, don't chase two. Because if you chase two, you'll never catch one.
Yeah.
What is the one thing that you want people to do when they come to your page? What is that absolute one thing you want them to do? Granted, we could want them to subscribe to the podcast,
That's good.
Sign up for my newsletter. We could want them to do all these things. But what is the most important action that somebody can take today? Let's assume that 10,000 people can take this action right now today. What is the one action you would want them to take? And that should be the only link in your bio directing them there.
I want to say this one thing, right?
Yeah.
Most people, it's not typical that first year you just come out the gate swinging. But what I tell my students is if you do this consistently, what I notice, if you stay consistent within 4 years, your life could change doing this.
For sure.
And each of us went from, freshman year to sophomore year, junior year. It's the same thing with this. Once you get to that 4th year, I feel like everything just turns up even more. So you just got to stay with it.
Instruction, massive perfect action, result, education. Education is a reward. It's at the end. It's the aftermath. It's the conclusion of your action. Education is not in the beginning. Instruction, get one piece of instruction. Don't worry about the rest of the instruction. What does Brent Daniels want you to do today? Just do that. You're going to get a result, and that result is your education. You just keep staying on that cycle the whole time. Clear instruction, massive imperfect action, result, education.
See, people want to have what I have, without doing what I've done. And they want to do what I've done without becoming who I've become. And I don't mean becoming Myron. I mean just becoming the kind of person who is willing to go learn the answers that are apparently missing. I was not always a good talker. I learned it. Wasn't always a good communicator. I wasn't always good with money. I learned it. And I'm telling you, you can learn it too, but you have to care to. If you don't have any intention, well then, neglect will take over the day.
How are you going to have what you want if you don't identify what it is that you want? So people say, I want to be successful, but that's not an identification of what you want. There needs to be a specific goal. Your goal should be measurable, meaning when you get there, you can say, I got there. Financial freedom isn't a goal, because how do you measure when you got there? How do you know?
You can't be around that, bruh. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna prosper being around that. It's either you gonna go up or you gonna go down, G. And if you wanna go up, you have to put in the work every single day. And if the people around you cannot embody that, if the people around you cannot support that, then they don't need to be around you. And if they shame you to make you lower your standards, then they don't need to be around you. Why would you want them around you, G? You feel what I'm saying?
They didn't pay him once. They paid him every year. See, people who pay attention. People who pay a lot of attention. People who pay a little of attention. Because Jesus said the heart follows the pocketbook. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.
Right.
I look at what market are you in, what's your experience level, what's your budget, and what's your schedule.
Yep.
And based on that, I can craft the right marketing and lead generation machine for you. But without understanding those 4 things, it's really difficult. You can't it's not just a cookie cutter, okay, everybody just go make cold calls. Well, if you work all day long, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Then you're going to go, oh, okay, well, I'll try to do it here and there. You're never going to do it.
Never gonna
right?
do it.
But you can post every single day to social media that you buy houses. You can go and friend everybody in Facebook and have a bunch of people that see that you buy houses. You can go and send text messages, right? And respond to those.
And I've always been into entrepreneurship. I've always been into getting into rooms. I've always been into networking. Networking is literally the key to success, just getting around the right people. And I just so happened to fall into this room just at the same time as my first semester of college was ending. And it was an opportunity. And I was like, hey, this mentorship is X amount of dollars. And I'll be honest with you, I was scared.
I tell people, if you are coachable and you are available and you do what I say, as a business, you can't lose. But when people don't win, they don't win either because they don't make themselves available for the resources that we've created for them, or they're not coachable and they want to do it their way. And the reason they want to do it their way is because 90% of good coaching is counterintuitive. If everything, you get a coach, like if I hire you, Dan, and you're my coach, and everything you tell me makes sense to me, I need to go find a new coach. Do you know why? Because if it made sense to me, I'd already be doing it, and I wouldn't need a coach in the first place.
Talk about sales.
Yeah.
Is it sales though?
I think sales is service. So I think solving the problems of property owners is how we get paid. I mean, you have to be able to provide for earned income. You have to be able to provide equal amount of value.
Yeah,
so what's the value?
buying.
Yeah, but the value that we have to the property owner is we make it as smooth as possible.
Yeah.
That's the value that we have. The value that we have is maybe it doesn't go on the internet. It's not traditionally sold. They don't have to hire and be around a real estate agent. They don't have to go through inspections and repairs and all these other things, right? And it's the speed and convenience that typically happens with a cash offer. So you have to have expertise to be able to do this. If you don't, it turns into a nightmare. And I think that's the value that you provide.
Every time I'm around you, you change my perspective on something.
There's always somebody out there who's had a worse situation than you that's become more successful. And what I mean by this is there's always going to be somebody that had a worse situation than me.
And the only way to build your strong mindset and confidence is by actually being good at it.
Well, evidence breeds confidence.
That's it.
Right?
Skills.
And
having the skills.
And here's the thing. You can borrow my evidence. Like I say this all the time. I mean, I have continuously done this on YouTube live for people to see. Whether it's Closers Olympics, doing it live at events, there's nothing special about what I do.
Yeah. There is something special about what you do. You do it a bunch.
Yeah. Exactly.
RJ, that's the point I'm trying to make is, listen, you need to talk to 1,000 property owners. Just talk to 1,000 property owners. You're going to feel better. You're going to get better. You can use everything that RJ's saying, everything that I'm saying. You can download all the scripts. You can listen to all the podcasts. You can get on all the YouTube. You could be at a Tony Robbins event changing your state of mind. And as soon as you're supposed to pick up that phone and press go and call somebody, something stops you.
Yeah.
Like when you're working on something, here's what we're learning from this. Work has risk associated with it. If you don't do the work because you're afraid of the risk, you will never get the wealth that only the work can bring. So it's not that we should ignore risks, because the scripture says, the wise man foreseeth evil and hideth himself, but the foolish pass on and are punished. So we don't want to be stupid about it. What we want to do is we want to measure the risk, and then we want to calculate whether the risk is worth the reward.
Deal back to back to back. And this is what we're giving you guys. You know, REI Cash, they do 4 calls a week. So imagine if you had questions throughout the day, you could just join their call, get your question answered. Now you're right back into it. So this is what we're providing for you guys. And Melissa, shout out to you.
So the only reason I asked this question is because when I was in my start, I had to give it all up. I couldn't get my nails done. I couldn't get my hair done. I had to learn how to arch my own eyebrows. I had to learn how to do my hair. I had to learn how to do, that's how bad I wanted it.
Yeah.
And sometimes the answer is not in auditing your account, becoming a better photographer. Sometimes is, how bad do you want this?
Yes.
What are you willing to give up to get, like when I hear stuff like I've been mismanaging my money and just kind of haphazardly spending money my whole life, at some point it's like, how bad do you want it?
Yeah,
and maybe it takes a life event. Like for me, it took me losing everything to realize, okay, I want it more than this, right? Yeah. And maybe for you is this conversation today that kind of like checks you and it's like, okay, they're right. You know what I mean? Sometimes the issue is just your lack of desire. You think you want it, you say you want it, but your habits show differently. What you're spending your money on, having access, buying programs and not fully completing them, things like that. Those are indicators that your discipline and your desire are not really where they should be. And that's the first issue.